expose yourself.
Show 'em what you're all about. Dragged out.
You talk about being on Drag Race and being like so unapologetically you, and that's really what came across, is that, you know, you came off as Tammie Brown. Like, everybody saw you for you, and you started becoming, like, you weren't afraid to speak your mind. And, you know, in all honesty, you were one of the first people to ever speak out against RuPaul in the reunion.
It's not my responsibility to make you feel good all the time.
Yes, you both call me losers. And I don't see you out there walking children in nature.
Now, let me ask you, when you spoke out and you were speaking for yourself about, like, the negativity and the perception and all that stuff that RuPaul was telling you, what led you to actually speaking out in that moment?
I also said, I don't see you taking care of old ladies and walking children in nature, because I had been volunteering and I know I'm a good citizen. Like, for example, in high school, they do that program Big Brother on they show that, which is probably like for a lot of molesters, it's great for them. But I never did the Big Brother program because I knew that if I was to go out there and do that, they were going to be like, oh, that queer is just coming for our kids. So I didn't. And this is before, when queer wasn't sort of a positive term, really. I mean, now everybody's like, oh, I'm queer. But I volunteered after that, I was volunteering in LA, doing nature walks, walking children in nature. And I had my boyfriends that my straight dudes sometimes would be like, why are you always hanging out with those old ladies? You know, you're always with those old ladies. I'm like, well, I like being with older people. I love to be with older people. Right now, I'm surrounded with 65-year-olds right now in my life. I mean, it's okay. I connect with people that are older, and you learn a lot more. There's some more meaning dialogue, and, you know, but I like everybody, all ages, to be honest with you. It's easy for me to communicate. So I told them that, but they edited that part out of taking care of the old ladies and stuff. So, but I'm not going to put up with that kind of, because you could tell where the things were going, and it is a reality show, and they like to feed on that kind of stuff. And it was like, no. And the show is all about that. And the show is a Black exploitation show. And it's been that way. I talked to one of my dear friends recently. She's never been on the show, and she's no longer wants to audition for it. But at the beginning, they recruited her and told her they want her to be the bad Black person. And they do that a lot. They want the screaming Black person on purpose, creating a stereotype. And that's a fact on the show. And they do that every time, because I meet these girls behind the scenes. I think, oh, this one's going to be a pain in the ass. Maybe the vixen or something. So a real sweetheart, you know.
Like I said, like, you were one of the first people to actually speak out and speak your mind against RuPaul. But now, over the course of, 10, 11, 12 seasons, you have more girls that are coming out. What do you feel in those moments? What do you feel when you see other queens now speaking their minds as opposed to being silent about things?
Well, I think it's great. I mean, you need to speak your mind. We have to speak out. We're queens, actually, too. Queens are revolutionary. Queens is a revolutionary about doing. I mean, there's something revolutionary about doing that. You're putting this on and taking action, being part of the community. And being part of the community, even when people are not wanting to support you and stuff, you deal with those prejudices and stuff. And you have to speak out. It's our duty. We're the nurturers. That's our duty. In Indigenous culture, we would have been the ones that are revered in the community to help out and nurture and take care and adopt and stuff. That's our duty. That's in reality. But we've been whitewashed or brought along with colonization and everything through Christianity and everything, and forced upon us. And Christianity comes from the Middle East. So let's not forget that. Okay? So Jesus is a Jew, you know. And I've been to Egypt, where he was living underground when they were refugees or whatever, you know.
Do you think that you've inspired RuPaul in any ways? Because, like, in some point, when All Stars ended up coming around and you were on All Stars, the song that he used for the runway was inspired by the confrontation. Then, in that AJ and the Queen show, it's him holding a child's hand like he's holding a child's hand in nature. Do you feel like you have inspired him in any way?
Well, I feel that I don't get credit where credit's due. If it takes a village for Hillary Clinton to win a Grammy for spoken word, why have I not won a spoken word when there was over 13, catchphrases that I've done, that they even did a Mojo for me on Miss Mojo. So where's my Grammy?
I mean, it's true. You have these iconic phrases and things that you say. You get in All-Stars, and All-Stars, the best part about that, the only thing about season 1 of All-Stars was your untucked moments. Literally, your untucked moments. You had,
Oh, No! Well, come on, Teletubby! Teleport us to Mars!
What the
And then you had ha!
Ha! Ha! I'm acting.
Like, you had these moments. Where do these iconic phrases and things come from? Do you just spit it out, or is it something you think about? Like, where do they come from?
Well, I can pre-calculate, or I can pre-calculate them, or they'll just kind of spontaneously come. That's one of my gifts. It kind of comes from my father, but he never properly has been able to use his. But he was always thinking of something. Would be like, "Oh my God, what an idiot!" With the things he would say sometimes. But that's where it comes from. The artistic comes from my father, And I didn't say my father fucked Marlena Dietrich. I said your father. But with the way they did the editing, they changed all that around. And I was talking to one of the producers who was putting the kerosene on us, really throwing the gasoline at us. So I was talking to her because she had come to my room. Like when they come and introduce you, and they'll come to the room and talk to you about what the show is going to be like the first few days you're there, or before you start the show. And she comes in and was telling us all kinds of stuff and opening up to me. People always open up to me. I'm always listening. And I remember stuff forever. I'll remember conversations from 10 years ago or whatever, sometimes even longer. But so she comes in and is telling me all this stuff, all these horrible things that happened, and how her father was in Hollywood, and how he had an affair with Marlena. And he was just a bit player, but he ended up in something, and they had done this. And then how her ex-boyfriend, they found out he was an alcoholic, because I was talking about my DUI. And she was like, "Oh, well, we found out he was an alcoholic after he had crashed the car with me in it and died. And they had found out that he was an alcoholic, blah, blah, blah." So I was going to actually use that against her, too. Oh, you want to bring it on? Let me bring it on, bitch. Let's bring this on. You want to get nasty? I'm going to get nasty.
When you look at your time that you were on Drag Race, is there a favorite moment that you had?
I think there was a stroke of genius when the water came out of my mouth on that car shoot on season 1. I think that was quite a stroke of genius that just happened to happen the way it did. Was there a favorite time? I had dreams prior to the show that I was going to be working with Chanel, and somehow we all ended up together in those groups and whatever. But no, I don't really have a favorite. I'm happy with the exposure and everything. And I like that I know that I'm only able to be on 2 shows twice on a row, eliminated second, and be able to be the most popular out of all of them. How does that happen? That's called star power, baby.
Your fans really do want to know, would you ever do another All-Stars the way that Manila and Latrice and Alexis Mateo and them have come back after All-Stars 1?
Well, you see, they've never asked me. They don't ask me. And I know that they did pull constantly on Gina. They were constantly calling her, but they never would pull her. Then they go out and spend all their money on all these costumes. You can expect for me not to be buying all these stupid costumes, these little dance costumes and what everybody's wearing all the time. I'm not doing that. So don't think I'm going to be coming on doing that. If I come on, I'm just going to come on, be myself, and that's it. You can have it. They'll even call me, the camera people that are usually there working, they'll be like, you're really good on camera. The behind the scenes people, the goddamn producers that are the problem. Snails, I squish them, put some salt on them, dry them out. And so anyhow, then the sound people also will come and tell me, they'll meet me sometimes at a bar or tell me when they see me out and about, you have the best, you always say the most funniest things. You're hilarious. We love editing you, But the show can't handle that because the show wants to play their game. That's what they want to play as a game. If they ask me about, yes, I'll probably say yes, but I'll probably have to and if I won the crown, I'll say I refused the crown because of the fracking, RuPaul. Ding. You know what I mean?
Is that a reason why you didn't go back to the season 10 when all the girls came back?
Oh, the fracking?
Oh, no, I don't mean fracking. I was meaning like in general. Was there a reason why you didn't go back to the season 10 reunion when everybody was there?
Oh, you got to go where the money flows. And baby, let me tell you, I was asked to go on the road with Trixie Mattel, who's a big fan of mine, and we went down under Australia, and I stayed down there and hung out,
Expose yourself. Show 'em what you're all about. Drag.